The entrance to Lindora Holdings gleamed under the morning sun, its glass facade reflecting everything but the truth. Linda Carter stood motionless on the concrete, staring at the barrier that separated her from everything she'd built. Her fingers gripped her purse like it was the only solid thing left in her world. This wasn't just any building. Her name hung above the entrance in bold letters. Yet the electronic scanner blinked its cruel verdict. Red. Denied. She pressed her access card again, willing it to work. Red. Denied. Behind her, employees slowed their morning rush, eyes darting between their phones and the scene unfolding. Linda forced her lips into something resembling a smile, but her eyes betrayed the storm gathering inside. Perhaps the system malfunctioned. She whispered, though her gut knew better. Someone had deliberately erased her access, and she knew exactly whose fingerprints were on this betrayal. Her husband, Marcus. Linda turned toward the security guard stationed at the entrance. Please. Her voice carried the weight of authority, mixed with desperation. You know who I am. The guard shifted uncomfortably, his gaze bouncing between Linda's identification and the polished lobby beyond the glass. Ma'am, I received instructions not to. Instructions? Linda's voice cracked like thin ice. The guard lowered his tone, almost apologetic. Mr. Marcus said he's the acting managing director now. He said your credentials should be deactivated. The words hit Linda like physical blows. Acting managing director. Her company. Her vision. Her husband was locking her out like she was a trespasser. Linda stepped backward, her breathing shallow and rapid. Then she heard it. Laughter. Not the warm kind. The arrogant, triumphant kind that cuts through dignity. It echoed from inside the lobby. Linda's eyes lifted past the glass barrier. There he was, Marcus, striding across the marble floor like royalty, dressed in a tailored navy suit that screamed power. And beside him, moving with calculated confidence, was a woman Linda had never seen before. The woman's hair cascaded down her back like silk. Her crimson lips curved into a smile that belonged at a celebration, not a workplace. She carried a designer bag like it was a trophy. Then, in a gesture that stopped Linda's heart, the woman reached up and straightened Marcus's tie. Casual, intimate, possessive, Linda's hands balled into fists. She moved closer to the glass, knocking hard. Marcus, she called out, her voice sharp enough to cut through the barrier. Marcus stopped. Slowly, deliberately, he turned his head. Their eyes locked. His expression showed no surprise, no guilt, only satisfaction. He wore a thin, cold smile. Then he raised his hand and snapped his fingers at nearby staff. Two security officers in black suits moved toward the entrance from inside. Linda's throat went dry. The officer stopped just behind the glass, regarding Linda as if she were a disruption to be managed. Marcus didn't approach. He simply stood there, observing her like she was entertainment. Linda's lips trembled. She mouthed his name through the glass, her voice breaking. What are you doing? Marcus leaned slightly toward the barrier, speaking loud enough for her to hear every syllable. What I should have done years ago. He gestured dismissively at Linda's access card. That card means nothing now. Linda's heart pounded against her ribs. Employees outside had stopped pretending not to watch. Whispers rippled through the crowd. A woman in heels covered her mouth in shock. And Marcus's companion, because Linda now understood exactly what she was, smiled and waved at Linda like they were old acquaintances. Linda's stomach twisted into knots. Open this door, she commanded the guard again, her voice rising with authority and desperation. Open it now. The guard shook his head, genuine fear crossing his face. I'm sorry, ma'am. I can't. Linda spun back toward Marcus, tears burning hot behind her eyes. You can't do this, she shouted through the glass. This is my company. Marcus's smile widened, revealing teeth that looked predatory. Then he spoke words that froze Linda's blood. You signed it over, Linda. Don't you remember? Linda went rigid. A memory slammed into her consciousness. Sharp, painful. A document, a pen, a promise wrapped in lies. Her hands began trembling again. Marcus moved closer to the glass now, close enough that Linda could see every calculated detail in his expression. His eyes were disturbingly calm. That calmness terrified her more than anger ever could. He lifted his phone, tapped the screen, and suddenly the glass door slid open from inside. The two security officers stepped out onto the sidewalk. "Ma'am," one of them said firmly, "please step away from the entrance." Linda stared at him in disbelief. "Ma'am," she echoed. "You're calling me ma'am while you push me away?" "Orders," the officer replied flatly. Linda turned back to Marcus. His companion stood behind him like a shadow, still smiling that infuriating smile. Marcus spoke in a tone that sounded sweet, but dripped with poison. "Linda, don't embarrass yourself further. Go home. We'll discuss this later." Linda opened her mouth, but words failed her. Then Marcus leaned closer, his voice dropping to a whisper meant only for her ears. "You wanted to be in control of this marriage. Today, I'm showing you what powerlessness feels like." Linda's eyes widened. Heat flooded her body. She wanted to slap him. She wanted to scream, but her body refused to move. Marcus turned and began walking back inside with his companion. Linda watched them, and that's when something caught her. I'd had stopped her breath completely. On Marcus's hand was her company ring, the ring with the Lindora logo, the one she only gave to top executives. Marcus wore it like a crown. Linda's knees nearly buckled. She reached for the glass door, trying to push through, but the security officers blocked her path. "Ma'am, please," one said, gently but firmly pushing her hand away. "Don't make this harder." Linda looked around at the gathering crowd of employees. Shame, rage, and heartbreak collided inside her chest. Then she heard another sound, the familiar chime of the executive elevator. Linda raised her head, peering through the glass. The elevator doors opened inside, and she saw something that stole the breath from her lungs. Marcus was heading toward the executive wing, toward her floor, toward her office. Behind him, two staff members carried a large black bag and several file boxes. Linda's mind screamed, "What is he taking? What is he stealing? Marcus, stop." Linda pushed forward again, her voice breaking into pieces. But he didn't stop. He didn't even glance back. Linda turned to the guard outside and grabbed his sleeve desperately. "Call the police," she begged. "Call them right now." The man panicked, pulling away slightly. "Ma'am, this is an internal company matter." "Company matter?" Linda cried out. "He's stealing my life." Her phone buzzed in her trembling hand. A message flashed across the screen. It was from Tommy, her personal assistant. "Tommy, madam, please don't come upstairs. Mr. Marcus is in your office. He's changed the locks. He told everyone you're no longer in charge." Linda's vision blurred. She clenched her phone so tightly it hurt. Inside, the elevator doors closed. Marcus and his companion were ascending, up to her private office, up to where Linda kept her most critical files, her company seals, her contracts, her secrets. Linda's breathing accelerated. She didn't just feel betrayed. She felt hunted, like she was in a battle she never agreed to fight. Then her phone buzzed again. A second message appeared, this time from an unknown number. "Unknown, you should have listened when he warned you. Today you lose everything." Linda stared at the message. Her fingers went cold. Who was this? How did they have her number? And what did they mean by lose everything? Linda looked up through the glass again. In the distance, she saw it. A boardroom screen flickering to life. A projector illuminating. A meeting was beginning. A meeting inside her own company. Without her. Tommy's message came through again, faster this time. "Tommy, madam, please." He called an emergency board meeting. He said he's about to announce something major. And there's a document on the table with your name on it. Asterisk. Linda's stomach dropped. A document with my name? Her lips formed the words silently, but her mind raced. Was it divorce papers? A transfer agreement? A document designed to erase her existence? Linda's entire body shook with fear and fury. Then Linda did something she hadn't done in years. She stopped trying to force her way inside. She stopped shouting. She stopped begging. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand and stood perfectly still. She stared at the glass doors like she was staring down a predator. And she whispered, "All right, Marcus, you want war?" Then she opened her purse with shaking hands. She pulled out a brown envelope, old, slightly creased, hidden at the bottom like a buried secret. Inside was a document Linda had never intended to use, a document she created the day she pretended to give Marcus what he wanted. Linda's eyes narrowed. Her heart pounded. She stared at the envelope and whispered again, "You think you won because you saw a signature, but you didn't read the fine print." Linda raised her head and looked back through the glass. The meeting was starting upstairs. Marcus was about to announce something catastrophic, something designed to destroy her in front of everyone. Linda stepped away from the entrance slowly. Her face was calm now, but her eyes burned with purpose. She turned and walked toward her car. Every step felt weighted, but her mind was crystalline, because Linda remembered something Marcus had forgotten. He never truly owned her company. Not yet, and now she was going to make him regret the day he tried to lock her out. As Linda reached her car door, her phone buzzed one final time. It was Tommy again. Just 2 words. "Tommy, madam, he's signing it." Linda froze. Her hand stopped on the car handle. Signing it. Signing what? Linda turned her head slowly back toward the building. Her heart sank as she imagined Marcus sitting in her office chair, holding a pen, signing a document that could alter everything. But what exactly was he signing? And was Linda already too late? Linda didn't drive away immediately. She sat in her car, hands on the steering wheel, breathing slowly like someone relearning how to breathe. Her heart still hammered, but her mind was awakening. Inside that building, Marcus believed he'd won. Inside that building, he thought one piece of paper had transformed him into the owner of her life's work. But Linda knew something he didn't. That paper was never legitimate. Linda's phone rang. It was Tommy. Linda answered quietly. "Tommy, tell me everything." Slowly. Tommy's voice trembled. "Ma'am, Mr. Marcus has taken over your office. He sat in your chair like he's always owned it. He told the board you transferred complete control to him before you traveled." Linda closed her eyes. "So he lied again," she said calmly. "Yes," Tommy replied. "He presented the document, the one with your signature." Linda smiled faintly. "Did he show the final page?" she asked. Silence. Then Tommy whispered, "No, ma'am. He only showed the first 2 pages." Linda's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Good," she said. "That means he's still blind." Months earlier, Linda had sat in her bedroom while Marcus paced like a caged animal. "You don't love me," Marcus had said that night, his voice thick with resentment. "You don't respect me. How can man be married to a woman who earns 10 times what he does?" Linda had tried to explain. "This company is my dream," she said. "I built it from nothing. I can't just hand it over." Marcus had collapsed onto the bed, holding his head. "People laugh at me," he said. "They say I married my boss." That was when Linda made her mistake. She felt pity. "I can make you feel involved," she said softly. "But ownership is different from management." Marcus looked up. "What if it's just on paper?" he asked. "You still run everything. I just want my name there." Linda hesitated. That night, she contacted her lawyer discreetly. Together, they created a perfect illusion, a document that appeared powerful, a document that felt legitimate, but a document with no legal authority whatsoever. The ownership clauses were absent. The registration numbers were fabricated. And the final validation page, the page that actually mattered, was blank. Linda signed it because she understood the truth. A signature without proper registration means nothing. Back in the present, upstairs, Marcus reclined in Linda's office like royalty. He leaned back in her chair, feet propped on her desk. His companion, Zara, sat on the couch scrolling through her phone. "You see," Marcus said proudly, "power suits me." Zara smiled. "Very much. When do we leave for Dubai?" Marcus laughed. "Soon, after I finish erasing Linda from everything." A board member raised his hand tentatively. Sir, the legal department hasn't. Marcus slammed the table. I am the managing director now. I don't need anyone's permission. He picked up the document again and smiled. She signed herself, he said. She begged me to forgive her. The room fell silent, but not everyone believed him. Linda drove straight to her lawyer's office. Her lawyer, Mr. Aiden, listened quietly as Linda explained everything. Then he leaned back and smiled. Ma'am, you are still the owner, he said. He has nothing, no registration, no filing, no authority. Linda felt relief wash through her like rain. But he's humiliating me, she said. He blocked me from my own company. Mr. Aiden nodded. Then it's time to let him fall publicly. Back at Lindora Holdings, Marcus made another catastrophic mistake. He terminated 3 senior managers. He canceled 2 major contracts. He sent Linda a divorce message. Marcus, you have no power anymore. Sign the divorce papers quietly. Linda read the message and laughed. She replied with only 4 words. Linda, you're moving too fast. Marcus frowned when he saw it, but his arrogance blinded him. He didn't know Linda had already contacted the Corporate Affairs Commission. He didn't know she had already frozen all original ownership records. And he didn't know that the fake document he was clutching would soon destroy him. If you're loving the story of justice and resilience, subscribe to Lost Black for more powerful African American stories that hit deep. The next morning, Linda returned to her office building. This time, she didn't come alone. She arrived with her lawyer, with 2 auditors and with a face carved from stone. The same security guard stood at the entrance. Ma'am, I was told. Linda raised her hand gently. I know, she said. Open it. The lawyer displayed his identification. The door opened. Linda walked in. Employees gasped. Whispers swept through the lobby like wind. She's back. Isn't she fired? Linda ignored them. She pressed the elevator button. Upstairs, Marcus was signing another document when the office door opened. He looked up and froze. Linda, he shouted, what are you doing here? Linda walked in slowly and smiled. I came to my office, she said. Zara stood up angrily. You have no right. Linda turned to her. Sit down, she said softly. Zara sat. Marcus stood and pointed. Security, he shouted. Get her out. Linda looked at her lawyer. Now, she said. The lawyer placed a file on the desk. Sir, he said to Marcus, this document you're using is invalid. Marcus laughed loudly. She signed it. Yes, the lawyer replied calmly, but it transferred nothing. Marcus's smile evaporated. What do you mean nothing? Linda leaned forward. I fooled you, she said, just like you tried to fool me. Marcus's face drained of color. That's not possible, he whispered. Linda stood straight. You never owned my company, she said. You never even touched it. Marcus backed away slowly. You're lying, he said. I already made changes. I already fired people. Linda nodded. I know. She turned to the auditors. Please proceed. The auditors opened their laptops. The room filled with tension. Marcus's phone buzzed repeatedly. Board members were calling. Banks were calling. His companion looked confused. What's happening? Zara asked. Linda looked at Marcus one last time. You thought you won, she said quietly, but you just exposed yourself. Marcus collapsed into the chair. Sweat ran down his face. The truth was closing in, and Linda wasn't finished yet. The room went quiet. Too quiet. The hum of the air conditioner was the only thing moving in Linda's office. As the auditors typed on their laptops, their fingers moved rapidly, clicking keys like tiny hammers pounding Marcus's pride. Marcus sat stiffly in Linda's chair, his posture no longer relaxed, his legs no longer crossed. His hands trembled. Zara stood beside him, confused, fear slowly replacing the confidence on her face. What's going on? She whispered. Marcus, why are they checking the records? Marcus didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the brown envelope Linda had placed on the desk. The envelope that held the lie that had now become his trap. One of the auditors cleared his throat. Mrs. Carter, he said, we've accessed the official company records. Marcus leaned forward. Of course you have, he said quickly. I'm the managing director now. The auditor looked at him calmly. Sir, he said, according to the corporate affairs records, Linda Carter remains a sole owner and founder of Lindora Holdings. The words landed like a slap. Marcus jumped up from the chair. That's impossible, he shouted. She signed the transfer. Linda didn't raise her voice. She didn't move. She only spoke gently. I signed a document you didn't understand, she said. That's the difference between us. Marcus grabbed the document from the desk and waved it in the air. This, he shouted, this gives me control. The lawyer stepped forward. Sir, he said, that document was never registered. It has no legal value. Zara's eyes widened. What does that mean? She asked. Linda turned to her. It means, Linda said calmly, he owns nothing. Zara took a step back. Marcus, she whispered. Linda remembered that night vividly. She remembered how Marcus had cried, how he had knelt beside the bed. I feel invisible, he had said. I feel worthless. Linda had looked at him with exhausted eyes. I never made you invisible, she said. Your insecurity did. But she still felt love then. That's why she didn't fight him openly. That's why she prepared quietly. She remembered her lawyer's words. If you must protect yourself wisely. So she did. Outside the office, employees gathered. Whispers turned into murmurs. Phones were raised. Someone started recording. Marcus noticed. Stop them, he shouted. This is private. But it was too late. The truth was leaking. Linda walked around the desk slowly, reclaiming her space with each step. You blocked me from my own office, she said. You humiliated me in front of my workers. Marcus swallowed hard. You forced me, he said weakly. You made me feel worthless. Linda stopped walking. She looked at him directly. No, she said. Your pride did. She turned to the auditors again. Please continue, she said. One auditor nodded. Mr. Marcus, he said, you also signed contracts you had no authority to sign. Marcus's heart dropped. What? He asked. Yes, the auditor replied. Those contracts are invalid. Marcus felt dizzy. His phone buzzed again. This time it was the bank. Sir, your access to company accounts has been suspended. Zara grabbed his arm. Marcus, what's happening? She cried. He pulled his arm away. Be quiet, he snapped. Zara's face hardened. You told me you were in charge, she said. You said the company was yours. Linda smiled sadly. He lies easily, she said. That's why he believed my lie too. Marcus's anger suddenly returned. You think you're smart? He yelled. I'll divorce you. Linda nodded. That's already happening, she said. Marcus froze. What? Linda's lawyer placed another file on the desk. Divorce papers, he said. Filed this morning. Marcus stared at the papers. You planned this, he whispered. Yes, Linda replied. After you showed me who you really are. Zara's eyes moved from the papers to Linda. So there's no future? She asked softly. Linda met her eyes. That depends on how long you enjoy men who pretend, she said. Zara stepped back again. Her confidence was gone. Marcus's voice broke. You tricked me, he said. Linda nodded. Yes. You made me look foolish, he said. Linda shook her head slowly. No, you did that yourself. The room felt heavy. Marcus sank back into the chair, his shoulders dropping. I just wanted respect, he whispered. Linda's voice softened slightly. Respect is earned, she said, not stolen. Downstairs, word spread rapidly. Mrs. Carter is still the owner. Mr. Marcus has no power. Employees began returning to their desks. Managers who were fired returned. Security officers avoided Marcus's eyes. The building was slowly rejecting him. Marcus suddenly stood up again. This isn't over, he said angrily. I'll take something. He reached for the black bag near the desk. Linda's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? Marcus laughed bitterly. You think I'll leave empty-handed? He opened the bag. Inside were original company seals. Linda's heart skipped. Those seals were dangerous in the wrong hands. Put them down, she ordered. Marcus backed away toward the door. Or what? He challenged. Linda's lawyer raised his phone. The police are already on their way, he said. Marcus froze. Zara screamed. You said this was under control. Marcus looked trapped. The door opened. 2 police officers stepped in. Sir, one officer said, we need you to come with us. Marcus's mouth opened. This is my company, he shouted. Linda stepped forward. No, she said firmly. It never was. Marcus dropped the bag. The seals rolled onto the floor. The sound echoed like thunder. As the officers moved closer, Marcus turned to Linda one last time. You may win today, he said bitterly, but this isn't the end. Linda met his eyes calmly. Oh, it is, she said. You just don't know how yet. The officers placed a hand on Marcus's arm. Zara burst into tears. Workers watched in silence. Linda stood tall in her office again, but her phone buzzed quietly in her pocket. A new message appeared from an unknown number. Unknown, she stopped him. But you forgot one thing. The board isn't finished. Linda's heart tightened. She looked toward the boardroom windows. Lights were still on. People were still inside. And something bigger was waiting. Linda stood still in her office long after the police took Marcus away. The sound of the door closing behind him echoed in her ears. For a moment, she thought it was over. But then her phone buzzed again. Unknown, board isn't finished. Linda lifted her head slowly. She looked toward the glass wall that separated her office from the long hallway leading to the boardroom. The lights, they were still on. Shadows moved behind the frosted glass. People were still seated, waiting, planning. Linda took a deep breath. Tommy, she said softly, turning to her assistant. Who's inside the boardroom? Tommy swallowed. All of them, ma'am, she replied. Every board member, even the ones who haven't shown up in months. Linda closed her eyes briefly. That message was right. Marcus was only one problem. The board is another. Linda walked out her office. Each step felt heavy, but her back was straight. Employees stopped talking as she passed. Some bowed their heads. Some smiled quietly. Some looked afraid. Linda reached the boardroom door. It was closed. She raised her hand and pushed it open. The room fell silent. 12 people sat around the long table. Men in suits. Women with calculating eyes. Some she trusted. Some she didn't. At the far end sat Mr. Benson, the oldest board member. He adjusted his glasses and cleared his throat. Mrs. Carter, he said slowly, you're earlier than expected. Linda walked in and took her seat at the head of the table. My office is upstairs, she said calmly. So yes, I arrived early. No one laughed. Mr. Benson folded his hands. There are concerns, he said. Serious concerns. Linda nodded. I'm listening. Another board member, Mrs. Clara, leaned forward. You embarrassed this company today, she said sharply. Police, shouting, staff unrest. Linda looked at her. My husband embarrassed the company, she corrected. I stopped him. Mr. Benson shook his head. That's not how investors see it, he said. They see instability. Linda leaned forward too. And investors will see fraud if you protect a man who tried to steal, she said. The room shifted. Some board members exchanged looks. Others avoided Linda's eyes. Mr. Benson tapped the table. There's another issue, he said quietly. Linda felt it before he even spoke. There's an agreement, he continued, signed privately. Linda's heart tightened. What agreement? She asked. Mr. Benson slid a file across the table. Linda opened it. Her breath caught. It was a loan agreement. Large sums of money. Company funds. Signed by Marcus. Linda's fingers trembled. This is illegal, she said. He had no authority. Mr. Benson nodded. That's the problem, he said. Banks don't care who had authority. They care who owns the company. Linda looked up sharply. I own the company. Mr. Benson nodded slowly. Yes, but the debt is attached to the company. The room felt colder. Linda's mind raced. Marcus had borrowed money in the company's name. If the debt stood, her company could collapse. Mrs. Clara smiled thinly. That's why we called this meeting, she said. We need a solution. Linda's eyes narrowed. What solution? Mr. Benson leaned forward. We propose a temporary takeover, he said, until things stabilize. Linda's chest tightened. A takeover? Yes, Mrs. Clara said quickly. You step aside. We manage things. Investors will calm down. Linda laughed softly. It wasn't a happy laugh. You want me to step aside for my own company? This is business, Mr. Benson replied, not emotion. Linda's smile faded. I built this company, she said, when no one believed in it, when banks refused loans, when you all laughed. Silence. But now, she continued, because my husband failed, you want to take what I built? No one answered. That was the answer. Linda stood up slowly. She placed both hands on the table. You all think I'm tired, she said. You think I'm weak? She looked around the room. You're wrong. She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. A large screen on the wall lit up. Files appeared. Numbers. Emails. Names. Gasps filled the room. What is this? Someone whispered. Linda spoke clearly. Evidence, she said, of how some of you have been stealing quietly for years. Mr. Benson's face turned pale. Mrs. Clara's smile vanished. You see, Linda continued, I learned something from my marriage. Everyone listen now. Never trust people who want power they didn't build. Linda scrolled again. More documents appeared. Secret transfers. Hidden accounts. Fake contracts. You call me unstable, Linda said, but you're criminals. Mr. Benson stood up quickly. This is blackmail. No, Linda replied calmly. This is protection. The room buzzed with panic. Phones vibrated. Sweat formed. One board member whispered, How did she get all this? Linda answered without looking. I've been watching longer than you think. Suddenly, the boardroom door opened. A man Linda had never seen walked in. He wore a gray suit and carried a briefcase. I apologize for interrupting, he said politely. My name is Mr. Callum. I represent the lenders. Linda's heart skipped. The lenders? He placed the briefcase on the table. We're calling in the loan, he said. The room exploded in noise. That's impossible. Give us time. Linda remained silent. Mr. Callum turned to her. You're the owner, correct? Yes, Linda replied. Then you're responsible, he said. Linda met his eyes calmly. Not for fraud, she said. Mr. Callum raised an eyebrow. Linda slid another document across the table. Here's proof, she said, that the loan was taken under false authority. Mr. Callum examined it carefully. The room held its breath. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, he closed the file. This changes things, he said. Hope flickered, but then he added, however, the damage is already done. News of this has reached the market. Linda's phone buzzed again. Stock alerts. Messages. Emails. Her company was shaking. Mr. Callum looked at her. You have one chance to save it, he said. Linda swallowed. What chance? He leaned closer. Expose everyone involved, or lose everything. The room froze. Linda looked around at the board, at the mess, at the truth she was holding, and she realized something painful. To save her company, she might have to destroy it first. Stay with Lost Black for powerful stories that remind us why resilience matters. Subscribe now. The boardroom was silent, not the normal silence of meetings. This was the kind of silence that presses against the chest and makes breathing slow. Linda stood at the head of the table, her hands resting calmly on the smooth wood. Around her sat people who once thought they could outsmart her. People who believed power could be stolen with lies, papers, and fear. Mr. Callum, the lender's representative, closed his briefcase slowly. You have one chance, he repeated. Expose everyone involved, or lose everything. Linda didn't answer immediately. She looked at the board members one by one. Mr. Benson couldn't meet her eyes. Mrs. Clara's fingers trembled against her notebook. Two others stared at the screen like they were seeing ghosts. Linda took a deep breath. For the first time since this nightmare began, she felt something steady inside her. Not anger, not fear, clarity. "I will expose them," Linda said clearly. The words landed heavy in the room. Mr. Benson jumped to his feet. "You can't," he shouted. "This company will collapse." Linda turned to him slowly. "No," she said. "This company will finally be clean." She tapped her phone. The screen behind her changed again. This time, names appeared. Board members, partners, secret beneficiaries, hidden transfers. Gasps filled the room. Mrs. Clara stood abruptly. "You planned this," she accused. "You waited." Linda nodded calmly. "Yes," she said, "because I knew one day the truth would need protection." Mr. Callum leaned forward, inches sharp in his eyes. "You recorded everything?" he asked. "Every email, every transfer, every meeting," Linda replied. The boardroom erupted. Voices clashed. Accusations flew. Fear replaced pride. Linda raised her hand. "Enough." Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "This ends now." Linda turned to Mr. Callum. "You wanted accountability," she said. "You have it." She sent the files directly to his device. He skimmed through them quickly. His expression changed. "This is extensive," he said quietly. Linda nodded. "I refuse to pay for crimes I didn't commit," she said. "And I refuse to let my company die because of weak men in greedy hands." Mr. Callum closed his device. "The loan will be frozen," he announced, "pending investigation." Relief swept through the room like a wave. But Linda wasn't done. She turned to the door. "Tommy," she called. The door opened. 2 police officers stepped in. Behind them were officials from the Corporate Affairs Commission. Linda spoke calmly. "These are the people you're looking for." One by one, board members were questioned. Phones were taken. Documents seized. Mrs. Clara burst into tears. Mr. Benson sat heavily. His shoulders slumped. The power, they thought they had vanished in minutes. Later that evening, Linda sat alone in her office. Her office. The door was open. The locks were back to normal. The city lights outside glowed softly. Her phone rang. It was a call from the police station. "Mrs. Carter," the officer said, "your husband has been charged with fraud, illegal access, and attempted asset theft." Linda closed her eyes. Not from pain, from release. "What about the divorce?" she asked. "It's approved," the officer replied. "He leaves with nothing connected to the company." Linda ended the call. She sat quietly for a moment. Then she stood up and walked to a window. For the first time in a long while, the city looked peaceful. The next morning, Linda stood in front of her employees. The hall was full. Every face turned toward her. Some looked worried, some hopeful, some proud. Linda spoke simply. "There was a storm," she said, "but storms don't destroy strong foundations." Applause filled the hall. "This company will move forward," she continued, "with honesty, with respect, with strength." Loud cheers followed. Tommy stood beside her, smiling through tears. "You did it," Tommy whispered. Linda smiled back. "We did," she replied. Later that week, Linda received a message from Zara. "I didn't know everything. I'm sorry." Asterisk Linda read it once. Then she deleted it. Some chapters don't need replies. Months passed. Lindora Holdings grew stronger. New investors came. Trust returned. Linda sat at her desk one evening reviewing a new project. She paused and looked at her reflection in the glass. She saw a woman who had been broken and rebuilt herself. She smiled, not because she won a company, but because she won herself. Linda picked up a framed quote from her shelf and placed it facing forward. "Power is not taken. It is protected." She turned off the light in her office and walked out confidently. The door closed softly behind her, and this time it opened for her alone.